Hello and welcome to X and Y Gaming Casually Competitive. And in today's slightly skewed video, I've basically taken like 2 or 3 of my decks and smushed them together. Essentially, I want something that's simultaneously annoying and difficult to deal with, but at the same time can also be very aggressive and actually do a little bit of damage. So what I've ended up with is this. It's essentially a modified Blade Knight control deck, but using only the cards I own, because I'm not looking to order any new cards at this moment in time. That being said, running the skill Hidden Parasite, you can already probably guess 2 or 3 copies of the cards that are going to be in here, alongside the obvious Blade Knight. So Hidden Parasite, for those who don't know, will turn all face-up monsters on the field into insects, and then also your opponent takes half battle damage for the remainder of the turn. And it's very important to note that you can only use this skill up to twice per duel. So starting off with the monster lineup, we are running 3 Command Knights with a nice 1900 defense body, but also a 400 attack boost for all warrior type monsters. Now, there's also a bit of a lock you can do that if you control another monster, say another Command Knight, so let's say you have 2, well, you have another monster, so your opponent can't choose this as an attack target. But there's also a Command Knight, so they can't choose this as an attack target either. This is an instance that can happen and keeps your opponent from attacking until you play something else that's not a Command Knight. But that's not necessarily a game state you're trying to rely on making. It's just a game state that can happen. There are 2 Yomi ships. I was considering running Maneater Bug, however, Yomi ship can destroy without having to target, meaning it gets around the little pesky Blue Eyes White Dragon situation when also next to a Lord of D. There's also 2 Blast Spheres, which also don't target, however, they do equip to the monster, so you won't be able to equip this to something like, say, Gearfried the Iron Knight, and if that runs into Blast Sphere, well, it's just going to get equipped to it and immediately get destroyed, unfortunately. Next is 1 Hyper Hammerhead, because you can use it both offensively and defensively, in the sense that anything it battles and doesn't die gets bounced back to the hand, but also has a nice little 1500 attack stat. Next is the 1 Blade Knight. Again, I don't have any more copies of this card, and again, I'm not trying to order any more cards at this point in time, so the 1 copy of Blade Knight is all we get. Now, despite the fact that you can only use Hidden Parasite up to twice per duel, I am in fact running 3 copies of Eradicating Aerosol. Now, I know this might seem strange and or stupid, however, I like to point out that if you run 2, you might very well never draw into either copy. And while it is exceedingly frustrating to have a 3rd copy that you can't use, I find it even more frustrating needing to clear a board and simply not having even 1. So, to alleviate this, I choose to run the lesser of 2 evils and have all 3 to essentially guarantee that I get at least 1 in my hand throughout the duel. Next, I'm running 2 Night Beams to take out something like Windstorm of Ataqua without them being able to turn my monsters to defense position. However, if you were to Night Beam something like Security Orb, you will in fact set off its effect that will in turn allow your opponent to destroy one of your monsters, so be careful about that. Next for the traps, I run 1 Metal Morph. Essentially, I really like its attack boost of 300, but even more so I like its attack boost of half of the monster I'm battling so long as I'm doing the attacking. However, because I have to be the one doing the attacking to gain the half attack boost, I feel Metal Morph is really only good at 1. I suppose if you really wanted to, you could take an Eradicated Aerosol for a 2nd Metal Morph, or really any tech card of your choice. The decision is yours. Next, I run 2 Security Orbs, those pesky things you gotta watch out in conjunction with Night Beam, because they can turn an opponent's attacking monster to defense, but also, if you were to get them destroyed by, say, a Night Beam or maybe a Harpy's Hunting Ground, you can at least take out one of your opponent's monsters in return. And lastly, there are 3 Kunai with Chain. Essentially doing what Security Orb does to turn an attacking monster into defense position, you also get the opportunity to equip it to one of your monsters so that it gains 500 attack. Alternatively, you could simply activate Kunai with Chain during the damage step without turning your opponent's monsters to defense, giving your monster the 500 attack bonus, and, ideally speaking, giving them the attack they need to run over your opponent's monster and have that little edge of surprise. Not to mention that the 500 attack boost doesn't go away because Kunai with Chain equips to the monster of your choice. And there you go. I mean, it's really just something that, I really just want something that can be more aggressive than an annoying stall-out deck, but also kind of be annoying and hard to deal with. And yes, I've already play tested against the Tribal Synergy deck, and also yes, I measure whether or not I think a deck is good based on how well it can take down the Tribal Synergy deck. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little budget Blade Knight control deck. If you did, let me know. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and hug your mama, and I'll just try to keep on thinking of more videos to make. So, real quick, if you wouldn't mind, please consider checking out my latest video before today, the Pokemon Isn't Cockfighting video. Bye-bye.